Stugotz here. The Dan Le Batard Show podcast is brought to you by Capital One. Capital One wants to build a better bank, one that feels and acts nothing like a typical bank. It's why they're reimagining banking by offering accounts with no fees or minimums and one of the best saving rates in America. You could open a Capital One account from anywhere in 5 minutes. That's banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One, N.A.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Stugotz is in an interesting condition today because as a Jets fan, he believes that he now has a quarterback for the next 10 years. I have to tell you that Stugotz as a sports fan is the same as he is as an analyst, which is knee-jerk, unreasonable. And so he just got done saying during the pregame show that he knew that he had a quarterback for the Jets for the next 10 years, even immediately after Sam Darnold opened his career with a pick six that was a terrible decision because he threw across his body. And Stugotz was like, I know we have a quarterback right now, when the first pass that Sam Darnold threw was a pick six. And a tweeter writes in the following, as Stugotz says he's got a quarterback for the next 10 years. Listening to Le Batard Show a day late is always a treat, especially as Stugotz roasts Sam Darnold and swears that this isn't going to turn out well.
I've got a gunslinger, though. I mean, that's what I got. That's why I knew it after that first play. He was buying time with his feet. And he was, listen, he made a throw that was a dangerous throw, but he'll make that throw again. He wasn't rattled by the results, which was a pick six. He was not rattled.
He is not scared. He's
right.
Not scared.
Yes.
Jarrett, to come back and have that game after that's the way that it started, that part is impressive. That part is something that anyone should be encouraged about. Hey, man, we are long overdue for the coming of the young quarterbacks. Long overdue. This league has been populated by the old guys for a long time. It'd be real nice to have some fresh blood at the quarterback position that isn't, Deshaun Watson, what Deshaun Watson was in the first game after what he was last season.
And Greg, fans are funny because just to address that real quick, I heard all the positive things that everyone was saying about Sam Darnold, but we are a tortured fan base. We're conditioned to believe the worst possible thing is going to happen, and it did after one play last night. I just didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to think it. I wanted to go into last night's game and see it for myself in the regular season. I didn't want to talk about how great Sam Darnold was, because I felt like I would probably jinx Sam Darnold.
Really?
I just didn't want to. Yes.
Really?
And that's where we've arrived as a fan base,
really,
I'm telling you.
Really?
Yep.
That's what we're doing. So your analysis,
You can't jinx a quarterback.
Exactly right.
It's your responsibility as a fan.
Yep.
Good on you.
Yep.
Good on
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Didn't you want them to trade him?
I did, yeah.
You're so full
you
of
did
it.
that to not jinx
Wait a
him.
minute. This is such
It's all part of the master plan.
This is such a bogus thing now when he's wrong or when he's spectacularly wrong. He's going to go to, I was trying to motivate them. I'm superstitious. Who did that? Tom Jackson did that one time on game day. He was criticized for coming after a team, and he said he was just trying to motivate him. Right. And it's like, Tom Jackson, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they're all watching TV before the game.
I mean, I don't know the results of TJ's threat, but mine worked. I mean, it worked. It absolutely. Listen, I don't want to get carried away. I'm not thinking Super Bowl this year, but AFC Championship or bust. I mean, seriously. Them and the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. That's how good he looked last night, and the defense was spectacular. I mean, they have hit on every defensive first-round pick that they've taken the last 5 years. I got a football team, Dan. This is exciting. I got a football team.
This is what a Jets fan sounds like when he gets a Monday night football game with 48 points. But perhaps the starting point on this is because you know what the Jets fan normally sounds like during night games. You've heard from the Jets fan on this show, and one of the most memorable sounds we've ever played for you, how the Jets fan is used to feeling about his or her quarterback play. So here is Stugotz, knee-jerk prisoner of the moment. We have a quarterback, AFC Championship or bust. We're invincible. The Jets fan is as obnoxious as any creature roaming the gutters of earth, and this is what they normally sound like and why they're so excited about last night. That was halftime after the butt fumble.
Right. It could be halftime this week against the Dolphins. I mean, that's how quickly we'll turn on you.
Stugotz also, Aaron Rodgers is going to join us at noon Eastern, and Keegan-Michael Key is going to join us a half hour after that.
Aaron Rodgers, the second best quarterback in the NFL.
Stugotz comes in here, and this is what he actually says. I felt bad for Gruden last night. The face doesn't work anymore.
Doesn't. I mean, listen, it's the face, it's the glasses around the neck. It's a different time in the NFL. None of it works. He's old. He looked old. It felt old. I wasn't impressed. And how could you be impressed after watching Sam Darnold for 4 quarters? But he looked old, and I felt sad when watching John Gruden. And I felt bad for Raider fans because they're stuck with that for the next 10 years.
He's slowly morphing into Al Davis, Dan. He's got the reading glasses that connect in the middle, and he has it hanging around his neck. No. Don't do that.
I can't believe we're old enough to have seen John Gruden go from boyish wonder who intimidated you with his face to, guy who's in the Russian nesting doll that includes John Daly and Mark Davis.
He had a good half, Gruden. I'll give him that last night. I mean, they started off well. They look like a team.
What the hell happened to Amari Cooper? What happened to him? Anybody? Guillermo, put it on the poll. Just what the hell happened to Amari Cooper? We had a legendary interview with Amari Cooper. It was the only time that he was on the show. It was a one-time deal. We really enjoyed talking to him. We will play the entire interview for you in a moment. It won't take long. It was just what Amari Cooper said when we asked him what he expected to be doing in the NFL. This is the best receiver in college football. He's a Miami kid, and he's been that for a while. Not a Miami kid, but the best receiver in college football. Amari Cooper with us on ESPN Radio. He plays at Alabama. Thank you for joining us, Amari. Could you be in the NFL right now? What do you imagine you'd be doing in the NFL right now?
As a player?
Yes.
Just dominating.
Thank you for being on with us, Amari. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
that was the whole interview. That was the whole interview that
Concise.
we did with him.
1 catch for 9 yards last night.
What happened? Is he injured?
Didn't he get a jet sweep? So 2 touches.
What happened?
Man, I don't know. John Gruden's like, we didn't get to the quarterback or the running back, and I think Khalil Mack could have helped. I don't know. I would figure that it would help.
The Rams. We forgot the Rams yesterday when we were talking about most balanced teams in the NFL. Teams that you simply know are good.
Really good.
How many are there?
Vikings, I'd say, would be one.
How many? How many are there?
3 or 4.
The Jets.
I mean,
So yesterday was 3, now it's 4.
I mean,
I have my questions about the Steelers now, especially on the road and this Le'Veon Bell situation.
well, no, you should have questions about the Steelers because Ben Roethlisberger doesn't quite take care of his body the way Tom Brady has. I mean, he might as well have been playing the last 10 years holding a six-pack in one of his hands with, by the plastic ring.
Some people felt like they knew about the Saints, but the Saints have done this thing where you can't really figure out your expectations for New Orleans. Anytime you think they're good, they're going to disappoint you, and vice versa.
Can someone explain this part to me? Because I know
Eagles.
Yes, the Eagles. That's a good one. We didn't actually mention the Eagles yesterday, the defending Super Bowl champions.
Super Bowl champs, they're all right.
I don't feel like we mentioned them yesterday.
So there are 4 teams, 5 teams now that we know are good.
We put Kansas City in that.
We did 6 teams. Wow, up to 6.
Are you putting Kansas City in there?
I wouldn't.
Kansas City, maybe.
So wait a minute. All they had to do was get rid of Alex Smith for you guys to put Kansas City in there. One
Yes.
game of Mahomes, really?
Yes, but also Washington might be in that group too.
There you go.
No,
Because
What?
they're going to get to the playoffs.
No.
Alex Smith gets you to the playoffs. What does Alex Smith win you?
Please.
Mike.
A first-round loss. We found that out yesterday.
That's what he wins you.
Mike, go sit in the penalty box for that opinion. The first ever just terrible opinion that gets you in the penalty box.
The Hall of Fame.
2 minutes for Washington is one of the top 5.
No,
Top
top 8.
There are 3 or 4 teams in the league.
We agree the Chiefs are one of them, right? The Jaguars are one of them.
I'm not even sure the Chiefs are one of them.
Jags
All right, I'm going to hold my fingers up, and we're going to get a count. Let's do this. Go through it.
Let's Chiefs.
Yes.
No.
Okay, I'm putting it back down. 0.
No.
All right. The Jaguars.
1.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, so are the Chiefs 1? Billy's at 2. I'm
No,
at
the
1.
Chiefs are not
All right,
one.
so we're
We're
at
talking
1.
about all-around good teams?
Yes.
Jaguars aren't good.
All
on
around
offense.
good team.
All right, let's start over. Jaguars
Let's start
1.
over. All right. Jaguars 1.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope.
Patriots 2.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go down to Minnesota. Minnesota
Yes.
3. Okay.
Yes.
The L.A. Rams.
Rams,
Four.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and the Jets.
Eagles.
Eagles five.
Eagles.
Okay.
Five.
And the Jets?
And not the Jets. Not the Jets.
5. So we're at 5.
We're at 5. Okay,
So Kansas
5.
City and Washington can't be in there. Get out of here.
Ravens?
Not the Jags.
No.
Oh, the Ravens are good.
No.
Ooh, Washington.
Tampa Bay.
We already did Washington.
Tampa Bay.
Chris, go sit in the penalty box with Mike. Both of you get out of here.
Tampa Bay.
I mean, how about the Bengals?
Oh, that's a good one. Super Bowl.
You get out of here, too.
What?
You get out of here, too. Everybody out of here.
I'll go.
Everybody out of here.
Jacksonville, bad offense.
All right. So
Is Greg staying? Or?
Greg is the only one who's allowed to stay.
It's an outrage.
Roy, you get out of here, too. You just get out of here, too.
I have to do my job.
Get out of here.
Hey.
Everyone out of here.
Quarterback.
I don't know how you close out the segment. Who closes out the segment? They'll do it from Bristol. Everybody out. Just terrible opinions all around.
Dan Batard.
Come in here and tickle. Hurry up and tickle him till the end of the
My
segment.
Dr. McGillicuddy said this could be bad for my heart. Could be bad for my heart.
Stugotz.
Having a heart attack.
Tickle him. Tickle him more. Tickle him more. Right to the end of the segment.
Heart attack in it.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I want to do something with you guys. You know how we worship leadership in this country and in sports, but very often the cavemen who run football don't use advanced information to make hires, which is how John Gruden gets hired, and we do the whole savior dance that Detroit is now trying to do with the latest guy who stood next to Belichick. That's how they hire people in that sport. Who stood next to Belichick? Okay, you saw how that experience looked last night. Drink that in, okay? When it leaves, drink that in, because none of them have had any real success. Like Charlie Weiss, I think Notre Dame's still paying him, so in that regard, he's still having success. But every guy who's left there, who's the most successful one? Every single guy. It's been disaster after disaster as that league hires the guy who stood next to Belichick, thinking that guy can bring him here. And how sloppy did Patricia look last night? Just sloppy.
Right.
What are you talking about? The team?
No, him.
Yeah.
I'm talking about him.
Looks better as a defensive coordinator than he does a head coach. He does. I mean,
I'm not sure what I was doing last night, but any time that the camera panned to him, he looked so shell-shocked. He looked like he physically had nothing. You could see someone in over their head, actually.
I mean, maybe the scoreboard helped it look that way, but I experienced it the same way, where I'm watching that and Detroit looks so incompetent. But there is something to be said for the guy who looks presidential on the sideline. Now, Belichick's not that.
No.
Belichick is not the guy who looks presidential.
In the pros, the results haven't been fantastic just yet. The jury's still out on Bill O'Brien, but the greatest part of the Belichick tree is Nick Saban.
Right. So let me ask you guys this question, though. How many times does it have to fail? Save your coach guy, John Gruden guy, with the Joe Gibbses of the world who are brought back to rescue Washington after having won championships. Like, how many times does it have to fail before somebody realizes you don't give $100 million to the guy who won 20 years ago?
Joe Gibbs brought him back to the playoff stand. Don't slander Joe Gibbs.
But you know what I'm saying.
Alex Collins, I believe.
No, but who's had the most success, though, as savior guy? Guy who, because Matt Patricia comes in as, is he going to bring some sprinkled dust from the Patriots and help Matthew Stafford become something? And no, that's not what's going to happen. But all of these guys are supposed to be whisperers. And the way that it happens better, more quietly, is it would appear that Shanahan, you and I have talked about this a lot before.
Yes.
God, if I got a coach, the one thing that I want is, does he make my quarterback better? And that's why you hire Gruden, because you figure, okay, I've got Derek Carr. He's going to make him look like something other than what I saw last night, which was the total regression of Derek Carr as a quarterback.
I mean, he's making him look like Bruce Gradkowski. That's what John Gruden's specialty was. Taking Brian Griese's, taking Brad Johnson's, taking Bruce Gradkowski's. He's never had really a talent like David Carr.
Well, he says it's the best, Derek Carr, he says it's the best talent he's had, the best at quarterback.
Right, but I think he could just make everybody look like Bruce Gradkowski.
Right. But Sean McVay has worked. So you're saying go that route as opposed to taking a guy who did it 20 years ago and going that direction.
I'm saying give me the time. So they hired Phil Jackson for the Knicks because they thought he was going to sprinkle dust over an outfit outside his area of expertise.
Right. Not for coach, though. They didn't hire him to be a coach.
No, but
right.
I mean, saying Parcells, all these guys.
They just figured that, yes, Phil being around it would fix it, and it did not.
I mean, this is a game that I think that you can maybe move the goalpost to, but I think almost every Super Bowl champion head coach has been someone that's been positioned as a savior. Hell, John Gruden was a savior when he got traded.
Oh, no.
Tom Coughlin right now is saving the
that's
Jaguars.
not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting one of these guys in retirement. I'm talking about getting one of these coveted John Gruden types that's
Coughlin.
always rumored for something.
Well,
The NFL hasn't learned yet. Bill Cowher would be hired by some team if he came out of retirement. Jimmy Johnson at age 75 would get an interview from some team. But it's not just the perfume of past success. It's the whole idea that if you're a coordinator, your next step is head coach. We've seen so many coordinators who were meant to be coordinators and just absolutely failed when they became head coaches.
Dick Vermeil worked.
I know, but you guys are giving me.
worked.
Wait a minute. You guys are giving me. Hold on.
It's the last example I have.
You guys are giving me outliers. I am with you guys on the idea of every franchise, when it hires its coach, is hoping that they've got the guy who's able to outsmart everyone else. Everyone's hoping for a little bit of the savior dust. I'm just telling you that the thing with John Gruden fails a lot more than it succeeds. And it even failed with Nick Saban when he was in the pros. It fails a lot more than it succeeds, and people keep giving $100 million to that guy, and he looked outdated last night. He fossilized. Everything that was happening there is you saw a new age guy, half his age on the other sideline, using all these pieces, because the Raiders have had good skill pieces. You saw the guy on one side using them. He's considered the next mastermind, and Mark Davis is going into the mothballs to go get John Gruden for $10 million a year.
Pete Carroll's the oldest coach in the NFL. Does that work? He was the guy at USC, and he was coming back to the NFL. Does that work?
I don't know if it works, only because Pete Carroll was largely a laughingstock before he ended up at USC. Like, the country was laughing. The sports country was laughing at Pete Carroll before he was at USC.
Why was John Gruden's walkie-talkie pack so much larger than everybody else's? And why was he having so much trouble with it? It's not helping the optics, dude.
1990s technology he's still using.
$1 bills, yo. Terrible boy.
He's not using an iPad. He's refusing to text. He's using like a landline on the sideline, a rotary phone.
He's not using the tablets at all. He's just old school. He's developing film of the
Spider 2 by banana.
Walkie-talkie.
Just shouting that at everybody.
No walkie-talkie. He just yells it. That's it. Yes.
Tin can with a string.
Dan, I'll tell you right now, though, if Bill Cowher said, "Hey, I want to coach again," I would fire Todd Bowles in a heartbeat.
All right,
I would.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please. And Todd Bowles' face, exactly like a mascot's, wouldn't change at all when you announced when you told him that he had lost his job. But put it on the poll, Guillermo. Would a team hire Jimmy Johnson right now as its head coach?
I can talk into his helmet. This is wild, man. Oh, wow.
1-800-Flowers people have been supporting us for a long time, so we ask you to support 1-800-Flowers as well. If you want to buy Greg Cody something, flowers are a lovely gift. A texter writes in, Greg Cody deserves a raise. Apparently, he only owns one shirt. It does seem to be the only shirt he ever wears on television. It's strange.
Dan Le Batard.
This shirt is from the 1980s, by the way. This is the oldest shirt I own. Seriously.
What color shirt is that? Because I've been trying to figure out if
black.
it's brown
black. No, that
or
used
just
to be black. That shirt used to be, no, it is sort of brown now. But that shirt used to be black. Wow.
Stugotz.
That shirt is older than Chris Cody.
It is.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I can't believe that we have been now doing this show long enough that a show that we've done several times in the last 15 years, which is explain to me, if I put next to each other the resumes of Brian Billick and John Gruden, why one of them is worth $100 million and the other one can't get a job when their resumes are identical,
right?
Including Brian Billick winning the championship with the worst quarterback to ever play the position in a Super Bowl and win, largely on defense. They both won. And we are now in a place where John Gruden is getting $100 million to do it. And if your franchise hired Brian Billick, you would laugh at your franchise.
I'd be disappointed. It's the straw hat. I've told you this for years.
That has been his theory. And it was the straw hat in Billick, in the negative column for Billick, and it was the face for Gruden that made Stugotz sad last night. What is their actual difference in age? Because I think Gruden might just look younger than Billick because he's been a boy wonder for so long. that I don't think is Gruden actually a lot younger than Brian Billick?
Well, Billick is 64 years old.
And Gruden is 55.
Gruden still looks good. I think he still has that youthful look.
So a 13-year difference.
So you've got Greg Cody here. Greg Cody has gotten worse and worse about his selfishness and his narcissism, and he just wants to talk about the things that he's done. And like, for example, he just said, like, whispered to me as soon as the microphones came on, he's like, "Hey, I was 10-5-1 APS this week."
ATS against the spread.
That's a fine.
I thought it was against point spread. That's not a fine. I thought you said APS.
No, ATS is the way we bettors reference it.
Big fine.
Yeah.
Regardless, big fine.
It is a big fine.
Regardless,
ATS.
He wants me. I'm going to tell a true story. This is a true story. It's going to embarrass Greg Cody, as he wants me to publicize that he was 10-5-1 ATS.
Yeah, that's a pretty good week.
It's a solid week.
It is a good week, but I got the question again, and Greg Cody's been trying to pull this for so many years.
Had the Jets with the points last night, by the way.
Every couple of years, Greg Cody will send me a text. "Hey, Dan, I don't understand." This is our gambling expert. This is the Miami Herald's gambling expert. He's like, "I don't understand. When a game ends in a tie and I've got Pittsburgh -4.5, is that a push?" And I'm like, "No, that's a loss, Greg. You lose when you've got Pittsburgh."
I wasn't sure. So I asked my friend.
It's confusing when it's a tie. It is. It's confusing.
Right? I asked my friend thinking it was a text in confidence. Apparently it wasn't.
But it's a text
it's really
he sends
not confusing
me every
at all.
couple of years, and there's nothing confusing about it. Like, if you have the Steelers -4.5 and a game ends in a tie and you're -4.5, you lose.
A tie should wipe everything out.
Right, I agree. Like, we need a winner, we need a loser, a tie. Right. It should be, the bet should be null and void. That's it. I am with Greg on this.
Yeah. In fact, my record this week was 10-4-2, now that I think about it.
So here's the thing, though. This is true story here. This happens. Greg Cody is married to a woman. Look, you hear my patience tested every Tuesday around here. He is married to a saint of a woman who tolerates him, and he's annoying. He's just perpetually annoying, perpetually self-involved. And she is raising 3 children. And this morning, she finally, and she was stunning to the entire family, she finally shouted, after many years of silence about this stuff, "Shut up" at Greg Cody. And the reason she shouted "shut up" disrespectfully at Greg Cody is because she was trying to listen to an MSNBC report on the 9/11 anniversary, and he would not stop singing Kung Fu Fighting.
I was in the kitchen making coffee, and it's just, you know how a tune gets in your head, and you got to let it out. When a tune is in your head, it must come out. So and I only know like 2 lines. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Hands were fast as lightning. And after about 10 renditions of that, first the volume on the TV went up a little bit. And then eventually she's like, "Would you shut up? I'm trying to listen to this."
It seems like a delightful song to kind of sing while you're making coffee.
Right.
It really does.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's a delightful song to sing. How did it get into your head? Do you remember?
I don't, because I hadn't heard it on the radio. I don't know. It just appeared. It was magical. It just appeared in my head. I had to let it out.
The other thing that's been happening with Greg Cody, and Mike, I don't know what to do about this. You've heard me lament the outbreak of internet panhandling that there is, with people out there wanting you to give money to their causes and GoFundMe. I need a burrito. Greg Cody, the way that he uses social media, has now resorted to begging.
Yeah.
He's a former and current newspaper columnist, right, in an industry that is dying. And so this is a texter writing in, "Can we talk about Greg Cody bleeping shilling out his toilet paper equivalent article on Twitter as a social experiment that he wanted clicks, and it's all he wanted. It's all he cared about." Yeah. And how did that social experiment go? Just begging for clicks.
Well, first of all, I was upfront about it. I said it's self-serving. So I didn't try to disguise it or mislead anybody. I was looking for the Batard show Tide to lift my boat, my modest boat. And it did. Through the goodwill of the listeners who enjoy my work on the show, I parlayed that into, not a record-setting number, but a few extra thousand page views on my column, which I appreciated. And I am resorting to that because we've become an industry that just looks at clicks. They don't care what you write or how you write it.
But can I ask
say that fondly?
Can I ask you and the shipping container, what am I supposed to do, guys? It's nice that he's this transparent about being a click whore, but I want to know what it is that I'm supposed to do because I am a grown man, and Greg Cody treats me like a 13-year-old son. Hey, go out there and cut the lawn. He brings me into his begging and is like, Dan, I would really appreciate if you would tweet out this column of mine so we could beg for clicks together. And my question to you is, how much longer must I do that?
Forever. Forever. Greg's like a brother to you. Is he not? He's one of your best friends.
I know, but it's a 13-year-old thing. He keeps telling me like I'm a 13-year-old. Hey, I always do it. I always do it for him.
Hitting the retweet button's a lot of work.
No, I'm just saying he wants me to stop everything I'm doing in order. Are you doing it?
Yeah, I send it out. Clicks for Cody. Cody, do I do it?
You do it, and I appreciate it. It doesn't take a lot of effort, as far as I know. But it's the beauty of clicking. It's so quick, feels so good to click on my column. It's like a cathartic thing. It's almost like you click on that and, a bolt of energy runs up your fingertip and into your body. It's fantastic.
Did you compare hitting a retweet button to mowing a lawn? That's spoken like someone that's never mowed a lawn.
Greg Cody likes to tell me what to do. He likes to tell me what to do.
I do not.
He's not afraid to ask, Dan. That's what he does.
Why would I be afraid?
Right.
I've known you since you were knee-high to a grasshopper.
Stugotz. He gets really mad if what does that expression mean?
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
He gets really mad? That one?
I mean, feel free to say no, as you often do, by the way.
I never do.
Oh, yes, you do.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Ow. Yep, you guessed it. I'm a speed bump, so I've got one job. I slow you down. So imagine how I feel about Geico, who does way more. Like, not only could they save you money on car insurance, but they've been around for over 75 years, giving people fast and friendly claim service. Ow. Plus, they got a nifty mobile app that gives you 24/7 access. Ow. Just doing my job, buddy.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Dan Le Batard.
I would absolutely take down my own school as a journalist if I find out that there was financial aid problems. Are you kidding me? I'm not hiding that story.
I totally leverage that information for money.
Felony blackmail.
Yep.
Stugotz.
He's got to be the only radio personality in America who freely admits to, I'd commit crime. He's got to be. That's the niche.
You got the goods, man.
All the other spots have been taken. He's like surveying the landscape on where can I plant my flag.
I got this one.
Right. Nobody else wants this one. Why is there no one here? Wow, this looks like such a great land. I could just claim all fraud and crime.
Worked out well for me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Aaron Rodgers is going to join us in an hour. Guillermo has finally finished, and these are difficult to do. Guillermo gets buried. Guillermo hates the football season. It comes, and he has to spend a lot of time in these press conferences listening to these coaches and these quarterbacks who say nothing, unrelentingly say nothing across the entire league. So how bad was this one for you, Guillermo? What can you tell us about this useless sound montage that you put together? How much of a suffering was it for you?
It was a sad week because we lost a lot of our good friends, contributors to the useless sound montage, and it's a trying time. We need to find new voices. We found a couple, but we haven't really found anyone that can replace some of the people that we lost.
Who? Like Chuck,
Bruce Arians,
Chuck
Pagano. Yeah. Some big names.
So you're not feeling confident about how useless this sound? Just how useless?
Oh no, there's still plenty of people saying useless things. Still happening.
All right. Are you proud of this useless sound montage? Your first of the season, one of the most popular things we do around here.
I'm not proud of anything I do.
Okay, very good. Let's play his Not Pride and Joy.
I'm happy to announce Fitzmagic is alive and well.
I was so excited to get to run on the field, as a Colt.
Coach Zimmer's message to me from day one is to not try to be more than just yourself.
They didn't have the locker room to kind of weather the storm, both figuratively and literally.
Football's an outdoor game, guys. We can talk about the weather till the cows come home.
Look, we're going to be second guessed until the cows come home on this.
I remember a point just in the second half where you just felt like you were going to win this and you just knew that you were losing this game.
Walking out the second half.
Same routine, with breakfast and getting to the stadium, and it was sort of cool to get to go on autopilot there and not have to think about it. I was like, okay, I'm going to take a left and then a right on Capitol and go around.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to be the real deal. You got to play at a high level.
At the end of the day, you're only as good as your weakest link.
17's over. This is 18.
So we're just working, preparing, trying to go 1-0 each day in the way we prepare.
He knows a lot, but he also knows what he doesn't know.
We just have to have the right mindset and understand that I'm just a piece of the puzzle. I'm just excited to do my part.
So to have that same feeling you get when you're 12-year-old playing football or 13-year-old, a young kid, because it is a game. We do play the game. We don't work the game. We get to play football.
We knew it was going to be a tough game coming in here. It was going to be in a 60-minute game. It was that way.
The score really wasn't indicative, I think, of the game.
Pressure is always there, but you either feeling the pressure or you applying pressure. Tried to apply the pressures today.
It is what it is. Put it behind you and play the game.
Those guys were fighting tooth and nail out there. I was going to be out there with them.
Jack cares about this game as much as any guy I've ever played around, and I love him. He's an incredible person. He's an incredible teammate. He's a great friend. So you give him a big hug. He's going to be all right.
Do you think this affects the team at all? I think it can. Whether it's negative or positive is up to the team.
What I'm trying to do is make sure that we go into halftime with a 14-6 lead. Down 14-6.
Just continue to keep working, one play at a time. This game's not easy. Winning in the NFL is not easy.
There is something about that last bit of getting to Everest, that last base camp all the way to the top, that Matt needs to just climb himself.
It was a dogfight all night. Our defense did a great job.
I think it's good to win, obviously.
That defense, they played lights out tonight.
We just didn't take care of the ball enough. We didn't make enough significant plays at the moments to get out of the stadium.
I tell you, I thought we did some really good things. I know I had a lot of fun.
I feel like we're making s'mores tonight with the kids. It's the over-melted marshmallow that gets all over the fingers. It's just a big mess.
All right. Andrew Luck he is the lead dog. Yeah, he is back. Andrew Luck is back, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you love anything in your life more than he loves Jack Doyle?
Well, this is the thing that I felt bad about on Sunday. I felt bad about this, and I wonder how much of our audience feels this kind of bad. I'm watching that game Sunday, and at the end, the Colts are trying to rally. And Andrew Luck throws the ball to his most trusted, good, dear friend.
Absolutely. I'm always looking for Jack Doyle.
Jack Doyle. And then Jack Doyle gets rung up in a way that made me understand all the way down here in Miami, that scrambled his brain. And then I'm like, Jack Doyle! It's Jack Doyle. Andrew Luck loves Jack Doyle. Oh, no, he fumbled. The game is lost. Oh, don't trust Jack Doyle. Did this happen to any of you when Jack Doyle had the big play of the game that turned out to lose the game for the Colts?
And I love him. He's an incredible person. He's an incredible teammate. He's a great friend. So you give him a big hug. He's going to be all right.
He's going to be fine.
Andrew Luck felt bad for Jack Doyle too. Look at what great leadership as locker rooms tear apart fighting over money. Andrew Luck is going to hug Jack Doyle.
And I love him. He's an incredible person. He's an incredible teammate. He's a great friend. So you give him a big hug. He's going to be all right.
Guillermo, can you put that on the poll, please? Did you feel bad? Did you laugh as Jack Doyle got rung up because you were thinking about how much Andrew Luck loves him?
I thought you were going to tell him to put up, will Jack Doyle be all right?
and does Jack Doyle deserve the aforementioned hug? Mike, can you give me your top 3 stories from being in New York with Stugotz at the upfronts that weren't the upfronts?
Well, I think some of them might not work for time. I'll give you my favorite absolute story, and it's not Stugotz chumming it up with Dr. Phil, believe it or not. Yeah. I believe this individual's name is Guy Raz. He's a very impressive host of the TED Talks podcast. This dude comes from NPR. He is dressed to the nines for the IAB podcast presentation.
Does anyone know what that expression means, dressed to the nines? I know that it's dressed well, but what are the origins of that phrase? Anyone got any theories on dressed to the nines? Maybe we can get an answer to that after Mike is done here.
And a very nice advertiser who had backstage access and is a friend of Stugotz says, Stu, come here. I want to introduce you. This is Guy Raz. He sort of mumbles that part, and he's like, from TED Talks. And Stugotz, first off, Guy Raz, we are not in his class, okay? He is sipping from a macchiato. He is, as I said, dressed to the nines. You could tell very quickly that he doesn't have much time for our type.
Stugotz is hobo chic. He's hobo chic, right?
Stugotz saunters up with a wrinkled shirt. His hair,
unshaven.
His hair is a mess.
Of course.
He is eating coconut chips. Thinking that he could talk to Guy Raz about sports or whatever. They have an interaction that seems painful for this individual.
He said he loved ESPN. He did say that.
He said,
that, right?
Okay, but Stugotz is maximum chummy. He's doing maximum chummy. He's like, I'll charm anybody. I'll charm this guy.
No, he gave us maximum credit. When you were introduced as from ESPN, Guy said, no, they do a lot of good things, which was high praise. But he was pretty concerned with his coffee. Anyways, they have some forgettable interaction, which Guy Raz couldn't wait to get out of there, and he leaves. And Stugotz goes, see you, Ted. Stugotz thought he was talking to a man whose name was Ted Talks. He thought his name.
I did. I told Mike, what a weird name, Ted Talks. I mean,
but he was like a great name for a host.
And he didn't talk. He didn't say a word to me.
Stugotz, number one, has never heard of TED Talks, which is not at all surprising. And he thinks there's a talk show host named Ted Talks.
I mean, it's what his name would be if he had thought of it. Stugotz is saying to himself, man, I could have used that as a sports radio host. I could have been Ted Talks.
$dollar bills, yo. $dollar bills, yo.
Hey, Teddy.
Don Le Batard.
Do you mind cleaning that up and tearing up papers and stuff when we're not on the air?
Stugotz.
I did it without really thinking. It was far from the mic. Didn't think it'd pick it up. As a kid, I used to make the sound of ripping paper. I used to delight my friends with that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you can go like that.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I don't know what to tell the audience about what just happened. Mike, start over, please. Just start over, because Greg Cody, again, is a child. He is 4 years old. So just start. You can't start it again? Okay, you're not allowed because of copyright rules. Greg Cody is in here pantomiming the sound that you just heard coming in there.
But I can pot it back up, though, Dan, because it's still playing.
Okay, that's fine. He's pretending.
It's a catchy tune.
He's pretending to play these tunes, the piano, and now he's the trumpet, I guess, is what he's playing poorly.
I'm living my life, Lois. We're living our lives.
What is that a reference to? Is it pre-1960s?
No,
what is that reference?
Family Guy. Peter
Griffin?
Yeah, Peter Griffin.
That's your Peter Griffin?
Yeah.
Huh.
We're living our lives, Lois.
Okay. Excellent work by you, as always.
That's the episode where Peter and Bill Clinton went cow
2 minutes,
tipping.
get out of here. 2 minutes, get out of here.
I didn't make it up.
Just get out of here. Just leave.
I think what he's trying to say is Greg's just living his life, whether you like it or not. He's going to live it his way. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with that, man.
Tipping it.
Living it.
Living it.
See ya.
We'll get to Greg Cody's Back in My Day in a second. He was in the Dolphin press box on Sunday shouting because they had, what'd they have, prime rib or something?
A carving station.
Carving it is what he was shouting to everybody. Carving it! Do we find out dressed to the nines, why the expression is dressed to the nines? Because Roy was telling me during the break that it's British origins. And I know what the expression means, that, you're dressed better than everyone else. You're dressed very, very stylishly. But I don't know what nines mean. Put that up there on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you know the origins of dressed to the nines? So Stugotz is watching football last night and moved to tears, hurt his back hugging his dog because he feels like the Jets have a quarterback now.
Yeah, I was. It was an amazing experience. Maybe the best night of my life as a Jet fan. I'm serious. I'm not joking, because what you have is hope.
Come on.
I know we've been to a few
two AFC championship games.
We've actually been to 3, maybe 4 AFC championship games in my lifetime. The A.J. Dewey game, they lost to the Dolphins. I think we lost to the Broncos up 10-0 at halftime. Bill Parcells, my friend, went out and bought Super Bowl tickets at halftime. That's why we ended up losing that game. He jinxed us. Hey, he bought Super Bowl tickets. And then we had the back-to-back with Sanchez. But last night was something different because it was hope, and not just hope. I was hugging everyone. I hugged my wife. I hugged my dog. I hugged my 2 daughters. One was watching the game with me. The other was up in her room watching YouTube videos. Had no idea why I came into the room to hug her, but I did. And I was just screaming, we have a quarterback, we have a quarterback, we have a quarterback. But the reason, and we have a defense. Oh, do we have a defense? The reason this is different is this is hope, and this is long-term hope, and it's the way you're seeing some of these other teams build their roster. Because they offered Kirk Cousins, or were prepared to offer Kirk Cousins $90 million over 3 years, $30 million a year. And now they have Darnold for the next 4 years at $30 million total. So they could spend money on all kinds of players for the next 4 years because they're not playing their quarterback
and
that
there
much.
It is. One game is all it took for Stugotz. Now, Stugotz, over 15 years, he's got a Jets golf cart. He is a loud, obnoxious Jets fan, and he will take any opportunity to tell you why it is that this is the time to hope. He's done it a lot. And now yesterday he was saying Sam Darnold, I don't want to talk about it. Now today he's saying the reason I said that is because I didn't want to jinx it. But now that it's okay to jinx it, now he's excited. Now it's okay, right? Now you're excited because he showed you 48 points last night and you looked competent. After I would have made the argument headed into last season that the Jets were worse than the Browns. That the Jets were going into the season, I thought the Jets had the chance to be the worst team in the sport last year.
But it's what that position can do for a football team, right? It's why we say it's the most important position in sports.
And they were better last year than I thought they were because of their defense. They actually won a few games. But I think a lot of people thought that the Jets were putting on the field with McCown the worst offense in the history of the Jets. Like, that's how they didn't know the names of any of the receivers. They didn't know the people who were on the offensive side of the ball for the Jets. That's how we were talking at the beginning of last year. And it was pretty much consensus. Like, there wasn't anybody out there saying the Jets are going to be good.
Right.
And you go from that to Sam Darnold, save your Sam. And last night already, Stugotz is forgetting about all the 4 decades of betrayal from this franchise. Seriously. This is what happens with Jets fans.
Yep.
It's more than other fans. These people will go from losers to arrogant in a half.
Oh, yeah, we did it. I mean, the entire Silverdome. Is it still the Silverdome? Where do they play now?
Silverdome. The Silverdome. It hasn't been the Silverdome in 20 years.
That Silverdome cleared out last night, and it was just Jet fans and Fireman Ed right behind the bench. He was gone for a while, but now that Darnold's here, he is back. Fireman Ed leading the JETS cheer all throughout that Silverdome. Yes, they had no Lion fans in there. It was amazing. Hey, listen, the Jets are back. They're never here, so it's hard to be back when you've never arrived. But, I mean, there's something going on with the Jets,
Guillermo,
man.
put it on the poll. Can you be back when you've never been here? Can the Jets be back when they've never been here? A texter writes in, you guys have not laughed at the Thib signing of Luol Deng nearly enough.
He's going to be playing 45 minutes.
I mean,
I'm going to find a way to play him an hour. Oh, boy.
I don't want to make fun of a spinal tap, but I mean, Luol Deng was run into the hospital to the brink, the edge of his life. Physically and literally, because of how he was worked in Chicago. And now, 400 years later, Thibodeau's got a missing veteran piece. I believe I have this right. Did Luol Deng make $20 million last year for scoring 12 points? Would you go over under, Stugotz, on that? Over under on Luol Deng scored 12 points last season.
I would go. I'd go over 12 points. Over 12 points.
I'll take the under.
The Lions moved out of the Silverdome 16 years ago.
Does anyone have that Luol Deng stat for me? We will end the segment laughing at the Luol Deng signing.
Luol Deng played one game for the Lakers. He averaged 13 minutes. He played 13 minutes. He made one field goal. 2 points.
So they paid the Lakers paid Luol Deng before signing LeBron James. They paid him, was it $20 million for 2 points?
For last season. Now, he did play a little bit the year before, but come on. It's funny with the 2 points.
It's a heck of an agent.
Don Batard. Who are the most overzealous fans?
I think Taylor Swift has the most overzealous fans. She had to be pulled off a stage at Madison Square Garden, I believe.
Swifties.
Yeah, Swifties.
Yeah.
Stugotz.
Perry Como's got some real fans as well. They're crazy, those people. Comoites, I think they call them.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Aaron Rodgers, as Stugotz just told you, will be in 1/2 hour from now. Roy Bellamy he has gotten to the bottom of this, that one is dressed to the nines. One theory has it that tailors used 9 yards of material to make a suit. The more material you had, the more kudos you accrued. Another explanation comes from the uniforms of the 99th Regiment of Foot, and also it's worth noting that the number 9 has long been used as a superlative. I do not know why. Guillermo put it on the poll. Did you know that the number 9 has been used as long been used as a superlative? And did you know that snails had teeth? Because I did not know that snails had teeth. Did you know that?
No, I mean,
never thought about it, quite frankly.
Okay. Probably not worth thinking about, all things considered. We'll get to the back in my day in a second, but I want to ask you guys about this Aaron Rodgers interview, because this is what happens every time the hint of Aaron Rodgers is around our radio show. There are alerts all over. Sirens go off. My heart flutters. I get lightheaded. And ESPN swoops in with some form of get him to say what we need. And so we have been asked to ask Aaron Rodgers a question I do not care to ask him, which is whether he's playing this weekend, because I just think it's going to get in the way of everything I want to talk to him about. And while people will want to know that, they will find out soon enough. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to tell us.
But that's the big question. I mean, it's the big question. It's the question. I mean, everyone wants an answer to that question. Yep. Fantasy players, Packer fans, everyone wants that answer.
Know.
Yeah.
And if he tells you anything, it circulates everywhere. And you know who they have to credit, Dan? You know? Scoop. The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz.
I mean, don't kid yourself. It will just be the Dan Le Batard Show.
No. It will.
Isn't this all the more reason to play What Things Cost with him?
Oh, man.
Well, see, I wouldn't mind, in an act of outright rebellion.
Don't you dare.
In the spirit of our show, I wouldn't actually mind. Didn't we have something like this before, where we just had people breathing on our neck about some guest that was coming on, and it's the first time that people are like paying attention to the show because some famous person is coming on, and then there were questions that were going to be thrown out from the peanut gallery. I seem to remember something like that. Am I wrong about it? Am I remembering it wrong?
I remember of an interview where we had something like that. It was a point of great contention. It's like one of the only fights I've had with my bosses at ESPN. You have to talk to Charles Barkley, and you have to ask him these questions.
Well, okay, that's the one. That's the one I was thinking of. And Aaron Rodgers likes coming on here because it's talking about things other than football. Like, so many people are just bothering him with football questions all the time.
I told the Packers media relations guy that you were deeply concerned about his health and needed to hear his voice, and this is how we put it together. So, I mean, they're really doing it so you can be okay. I mean, just sleep tonight.
I did want to hold him to my bosom there when I saw that card being brought out.
Actually, Chris Cody reminds me, good memory, Chris, Kiana Najee, the Las Vegas entertainer.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
That released a video of the Dolphins offensive line coach snorting cocaine. A white powdery substance, in which he went to rehab for, white powdery substances. Right. They were on us about asking certain questions there.
All right, Mike, but help me understand this, because it is a constant tension on the show. Now, I know many of you do not like my interview style. I know very often I make things awkward. And I know that sometimes it's off-putting. I get it. But Aaron Rodgers likes to be interviewed by this show, and he likes to be interviewed by this show because it's something outside of football. What is my obligation to ask Aaron Rodgers to say quarterback thing that he's going to say in 40 minutes at his other press conference or his weekly hit tomorrow? He'll tell people, or McCarthy will tell people in an hour from now. Why waste the man's time when I can be asking him about his visit to the Dalai Lama? Went to ask him, whether he's playing that weekend.
I mean, listen, it's a fair point by you. I can ask the uninteresting questions. You can ask all the interesting questions. I mean, I'm happy to take it for the team.
I would be happy as well to do
I just think, though, that when you have a curious, stimulated guest, okay, the best way to get a guest engaged in your interview is to have that guest care about what you're asking him about.
Whoa, Dan. You're an incredible interviewer. You don't give away all your secrets. I mean...
You don't think Aaron Rodgers cares whether or not he plays Sunday?
No, you know what I mean. That he cares about... How many people do you think are asking him as he walks around?
None.
You don't think...
We would be the first.
You don't think anyone's asking... You don't think that everywhere...
They're afraid. This show's the only show with the nerve to ask the hard-hitting question like that nobody else dares ask.
I mean, I'm pretty certain he cares about football.
That's right.
The old pigskin.
He doesn't care about football questions. It's the most boring interviews you will hear Aaron Rodgers do are the questions about football.
Now, listen, it's a fair point, guy. We have to tread carefully here because Dan is right. He comes on this show to not be asked those questions. He really does. And I think it probably drives our bosses insane that this is the show that he comes on all the time because we don't ask those questions.
But why are we getting pressure to ask this question? They never bother us. They leave our show alone. Why are we getting pressure from on high to ask Aaron Rodgers about what is it? His hamstring? His knee?
Number one, the world wants to know. Yeah. Number two, believe it or not, you work for a journalistic entity, Dan. Wow. This is a worldwide leader in sports. We ask the hard questions.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's obligatory.
In the acronym ESPN, the sports ain't first.
Right. So entertain him. Great point by you. You're very smart at what you do. So why don't you do your secret trick of the trade, induce tonic immobility, get that comfortable quarterback going, and then at the very end, are you playing on Sunday?
Time now for Greg Cody's Back in My Day.
And now it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cody, with Back in My Day.
Binoculars. Binoculars. You know binoculars. Two symmetrical telescopes attached side by side in a parallel direction utilizing either a roof prism or Poro prism. Chances are somewhere in your house there's a pair of binoculars gathering dust. Dad kept an old pair of Carl Zeiss Geneptum 10 by 50s that he said were for bird watching. Although the only bird I ever saw him watching was the neighbor lady sunbathing. What? No, I didn't. I'm just kidding. I think you could count on two hands, though, the number of people who actually use binoculars to bird watch or use the binoculars' effete nephew opera glasses to discreetly zoom in at the theater. Binocular sales are plummeting nationwide because their primary use has become outmoded. They used to flourish at sporting events and concerts where the distant athletes or musicians looked the size of insects because you were too cheap to buy good seats. Solution? Binoculars. All over stadiums and arenas, you'd see people doing this.
We're on the radio.
And you were the envy of your row. You were a hero if you'd offer your neighbor. That's true. We are on the radio. You were a hero if you'd offer your neighbor fan a quick peek and silently seethe if the glutton kept your magnifying prize more than a play or two. Now the sight of binoculars at games and concerts is thoroughly outmoded. The tradition killed by jumbotrons. Admit it. You go to a sporting event nowadays, you don't even watch the field, the actual game. You watch it on splayed larger than life and with perfect clarity on the monstrous video screen. You see a pair of binoculars at a game these days, you can be reasonably assured they're hollowed fakes used to store illicitly smuggled booze, glorified flasks. Stadiums, get rid of your jumbotrons and your obscenely oversized video screens like the ones that are 63,000 square feet at the Falcons' new stadium in Atlanta. Force the fans' eyes back onto the field where they belong. Don't have bobblehead nights, have binocular nights. Bring back the lost art of this.
Again?
I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Wait a minute. But you have got to be bleeping kidding me.
I thought we were simulcast on ESPN News.
Hold on a second. Let me explain something to oblivious Greg Cody, who has no idea about anything going on around here. He just twice made a visual joke. Greg, listen to me, okay? We're on like 300 radio stations across the country. We have millions of downloads a month. Maybe 50,000 people are watching on ESPN Ooze.
Okay.
You just made a visual joke.
A gift to the 50 grand.
You made a visual joke for them. It also requires, by the way, for the camera to be on you at that exact moment, which is no promise.
Yeah, that's a real crapshoot.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Did you know ADT can design and install a smart home just for you? A new smart home at your service, customized for your lifestyle. ADT professionals can even show you how to use your new smart home features. Now, that's what I call warm-up service. It's all controlled from the ADT app or the sound of your voice and backed by 24/7 protection. Visit ADT.com/smart to learn more about how ADT can help keep your home safe and smart.
Dan Le Batard.
Ooh. Guillermo, sassy.
Stugotz.
You're sexy when you're sassy.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, so you all know that I've got a man crush on this guy. I've never quite done this with an athlete before where I just keep holding him to my bosom because, when he gets hurt, I worry for his safety because he ruins seasons for me if he's got a boo-boo.
I told the media relations staff that you simply needed to hear
I
Aaron's
did.
voice.
I need to make sure he was okay because, last season was an apocalypse, okay, for me when he left the field. So Aaron Rodgers is with us now, and I've been wanting to talk to you forever about visiting the Dalai Lama because you seem like you are roaming the earth in search of adventures and challenges and interesting things, and I want to hear about your spiritual path, sir. Thank you for making time for us.
You got it, buddy. That was a blast. It was definitely something when you get the call and the opportunity, you don't pass it up. So for me to be able to head over to India and to see His Holiness at his palace was really special. And then on the back end of that, to do an awesome outreach mission with Starkey, a company that makes hearing aids and now has a presence in 60 countries around the world where they're making a difference for people who have either never heard before or massive hearing loss, and given the opportunity to hear again, it's pretty special. So to kind of book in that trip with an amazing experience in Dharamsala with His Holiness, 90-minute private audience, and then to have that, that outreach in Zambia was pretty special. So, one of those once-in-a-lifetime trips that I was definitely looking forward to doing and pretty excited about the opportunity.
Wait, Aaron, the Lama called you?
Did he personally?
Yeah, the Dalai, yeah.
He called you personally?
Hello, Dalai.
He called you.
No, but Stu, you know what the beauty is right after we went there, not great cell service over in India, but there was a picture up on the Dalai Lama's Instagram right away of me and him wearing the Packers hat. So I didn't even realize that the Dalai had a social presence. Pretty amazing.
Hold on. I need more information on all of this. How did it come to be, though? And seriously, you get a call because you've applied, right? Like, how did all of it come to be?
Well, it's a long story. The short version is that a Lama who grew up in the palace with His Holiness now lives in the States and has been kind of a liaison for some of his travel to the U.S., and a mutual friend of ours kind of hooked all of us up together. We started planning this trip months and months ago, and Starkey was great to be able to help us get there and get to Africa and do the outreach, and just made a big trip of it. But yeah, there's lamas all over the world, but there's only one Dalai Lama.
Aaron Rodgers, only one of him too. Aaron Rodgers with us on ESPN Radio.
Does the Dalai Lama look weird wearing a Packers hat? I can't picture that.
I mean, yeah, he probably looks weird.
I mean, I don't think he had any idea what the hell that was on his head, but he had a big smile on his face.
But did he know who you were? Does that become evident whether he knows who he's talking to?
I don't think so. I think he had no idea. But one of my favorite stories from the trip was, everybody wanted to, you're supposed to kind of bring a gift, right? So, found out he likes chocolates, so some people brought some chocolates, and I wanted to bring him a game-worn jersey from the playoffs. It's kind of meaningful. Got the C on there with the stars, and so I, gave him the hat and a ball and the jersey. Well, his translators didn't quite understand the nature of the gift, and they were wondering why there's a little bit of dirt on that jersey. His Holiness, a used, worn-out jersey. So we tried to let them know, through our translators that was, actually a special thing and not just an old dirty one we found in the back of the locker room somewhere.
You should have went with a cheese head. Imagine the visual, just for the visual alone.
That's even better. You're right.
Aaron.
Next time.
What do you talk to the Dalai Lama about? What is that 90 minutes like? Is it very spiritual or?
Well, the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, has a global message of compassion and kindness, and he talked a lot about that. And he's extremely charismatic and engaging, and he's over 80, and he's still able to capture a room. There were some questions that we definitely got to, but a lot of it was just hearing his heart for the world and for how he sees things, how we can make a difference in the world by being better people and being kind to each other and trying to find ways to connect, through cross-cultural boundaries and race. And, it was pretty special. On the trip, we brought with us, the Lama that lives in the States, and he answered a lot of questions. We were on flights for like 50 hours, so we had a lot of time to talk about, His Holiness's upbringing and how they had to flee in the late 50s and some tenets of the Buddhist faith and how it applies to everyday living. So those are great conversations. But hearing from His Holiness and reading his books, it was a lot of the same stuff. Just a really heartfelt message about how he sees the world coming together and improving.
But what are you looking for when you're ending up going from there to Shark Week? Like what is it? Where?
Because Dan was very concerned about you with Shark Week.
So concerned. Like Aaron, you not understand that arm. Like you don't want to put that thing around sharks. I understand they can handle bears, but not sharks.
Well, I figured I already had total consciousness after meeting with the Dalai. So what else could come to me?
What are you doing?
That's what the Lama does.
What are you doing? Is McCarthy slapping you in the back of the helmet? Like, don't put your hand around sharks. We kind of need it.
Look, we talked before. There was a shark expert who was there. He gave me the whole rundown. There's 3 types of sharks could be in the water. There's makos, which if it's bigger than you get out of the water. There's whites. If there's whites, you just keep your eyes on the whole time. And if there's a blue shark, they're very curious sharks. It may come up to you. And if it comes up to you, you got to Mr. Miyagi it, wax on, wax off. So all I was thinking in the back of my head as I was trying to back up a little bit was wax on, wax off. And, it was more towards my right side, so I just kind of waxed them off to the right.
All right, it's stupid, and stop doing it.
Right.
It's fun though.
Right, but once the Lama gets a hold of you, that's what happens, right? Like football isn't nearly as important. And suddenly you're diving with the sharks, then you get hurt, and then you can't play football anymore. Be careful,
I need greater life inspirations. I need to enter a spiritual realm. This whole Bears victory thing isn't doing it for me.
And Khalil Mack is more dangerous than a shark. I mean, come on.
That's true. That dude is a nightmare.
Yeah, he's not as friendly as that blue shark was.
Aaron Rodgers with us on ESPN Radio. I'm curious here, though, when you put your list of things, cool stuff that you've gotten to do, you golfed with Barack Obama. Was that just you and him? Like, what was that conversation like?
That was myself, Mark Kelly, who flew the space shuttle a couple of times. His brother was in space for a year, twin brother. He's been an astronaut for, most of his life. And Tony Kornheiser, actually.
Wow.
Tony's golfed with him a bunch of times. So I was before Mr. President showed up, I said, Tony, what's the secret? He said, don't talk politics. Gotcha. So I got the ride with Mr. President for 9 holes. Mark rode with him for 9. I rode with him for 9, and that was a blast. I mean, he was present the entire time. Wasn't on his phone. We were chopping it up about sports and life, and it was. That's in the same realm with the Dolly. When Mark called me up and said, "Hey, I got about 5 dates that work for golfing with the president," I said, "Any of them." Any of them. That's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and that was a really special day.
Aaron Rodgers with us on ESPN Radio, but where is the one that you would point to and say that's the place above all the places? I mean, you're talking about from president to Dalai Lama, of all the places where you're like, I can't believe I'm here. How did football take me from undrafted dude, or not undrafted dude, but guy who nobody wanted coming out of high school, wasn't recruited by anybody? How did football bring me here?
I mean, I think about that a lot. I don't know if there's one specific time. In those moments, I realize how fortunate I am and how football was kind of the vessel that got me to these places. I'm waking up in Delhi and driving to Dharamsala, and you got cows on the road that they stop for, and no lanes, and craziness up the mountain, and you're in this special holy place, and you're thinking, wow, my life's pretty good. I have a lot of blessings. And same thing, teeing off on the first hole at Andrews Air Force Base Golf Course with the most powerful person in the world, and making birdie. That's one of those special moments where you're like, man, this is pretty cool.
How awkward is it meeting Danica Patrick's dad when he's a Bears fan?
It wouldn't. I think he's he's going to jump on board at some point.
No, he's not.
He is not. You stole his soul. Do you call him? Do you call him and leave a funny voicemail message saying, "Man, did you see what I did to your team this weekend? Did you see that on one leg?"
Hey, look, he knows. If you want to come watch a game, you can only come if you're cheering for the green and gold.
You didn't answer my question, Aaron.
Did you leave a voicemail?
I want to know. Can you leave voicemails? Can you talk trash to her father, the Bears fan?
There's no need to.
Right? Let your play do it. Yeah.
All right, Guillermo, get in here. Hurry up. Let's do it.
All right, Aaron, it's time for What Things Cost. Ready? How the game works, Aaron. I'm going to give you an everyday item that we looked up at Walmart.com, and you and Dan are going to guess how much that item costs. We have 14 items today.
No, not 14 items. Hurry up.
All right, first item. A Brother 130-stitch sewing and quilting machine, SQ9185. How much do you think that costs?
Sewing machine?
Yeah, sewing machine.
Who's going first?
Do you want a competitive advantage? What do you want? You want me to go first? I'll say
$59.95.
I'm going to say $99.99.
Ooh, $139.
Wow, 1-0 Dan. Wow.
All right, next item, a 24-inch unicycle with alloy rim.
Oh, alloy rims. That's definitely $119.99.
I'm going to say $49.99.
Ooh, $81.99.
Right in the middle.
I don't think anyone's keeping track of it.
But Aaron went over.
Is it Price is Right, so you can't go over or what?
No, you can go over. Close.
No, you're good. Yeah.
You make the rules. Okay. All right, next item. LaCroix Sparkling Water Mango. 12 fluid ounces, 24 count.
A case of the good stuff.
Mango.
$9.99.
I'm going to go $14.99.
Oh, Dan, $13.98.
That's it.
Wow.
Dan
Yeah, right. This is rigged.
Wow, really? That's where you go? That's the first place you go? I lost, so they cheated.
This is absurd. Aaron, are you playing on Sunday? Aaron, are you playing?
Oh, that's...
Is your knee okay? Are you going to play?
No, please.
Vikings.
You're my fantasy team. I need to know.
We can't do any. I can't give out fantasy help like that.
See, there it is. You got your sound, ESPN.
But Aaron, you said after the game that you were going to play next week, and now I'm reading reports that you might not play, and I have you down as probable. So what's the deal here?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of experts out there who are, forecasting things, but we're taking it one day at a time.
See how you ruined the interview, ESPN? You see, they wanted to get in here and ask him the football question. What does he do? He gives us the first cliche at the end. Get out of here, Rodgers.
Can you play, please?
No,
one day at a time.
Get out of here, one day at a time. Unbelievable, man.
Dan Le Batard.
You want me to get real?
Stugotz.
I'll get real.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Keegan-Michael Key is going to join us in 10 minutes. You ruined it, Salatoro. You ruined the interview with Aaron Rodgers. You shut him down because the company had a need to get sound of Aaron Rodgers saying nothing about his playing status. And he didn't want to do the interview anymore after that, and it was one day at a time, and he just totally closed down what was a rollicking, fun interview about the Dalai Lama and sharks.
Well, that, or you had to go and beat our guess at what things cost.
Yeah, man. Jeez.
You finally got
Zap the life out of him.
Yeah.
What a terrible time to finally get good at that game for Dan.
He was demoralized.
Yeah.
Could affect his play.
So Dan's fault or Chuck's fault?
I think the proof is in the pudding.
Really?
Whoa.
All right, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Why is the proof in the pudding? Do we know?
Seriously, what's so great about pudding?
I'm on it.
Do we know why the proof is in the pudding?
It's a textural delight.
You love pudding?
The lie is in the pudding.
Everybody loves pudding, right? Put that on the poll as well, Guillermo. Does everyone love pudding? But why is the proof in the pudding? Cody, you're a wordsmith.
I think it's just alliterative. That's why people love it. You know, proof pudding.
No. I know why
That's
people
why it's a
love it.
famous
I'm not
phrase.
asking you for an aesthetic appraisal. I'm asking you, what is the proof that would be found in pudding, and why is the proof in the pudding?
Well, because
That's what
pudding
I'm
can be lumpy, right? So if you have smooth pudding, that's all the proof you need.
Actually, Greg isn't too wrong. I do think that the
Very close, actually, yeah.
pudding made it fun. Basically, you have to try food to see if it's good, but proof is in the pudding is a lot more fun to say.
Right. There's so much debate on whether or not pudding is good, and you do have to try food to determine whether it's good or not. And the first food that they had people try to determine was the pudding. So the proof is in the pudding.
Yep.
How about that?
Snack pack, 12-pack of chocolate
for the
vanilla
love
pudding
of God.
cups. 12 count. How much?
Keegan-Michael Key next.
Dan Le Batard.
On the reg. Popping it out.
On the reg.
Why were you doing that?
That's how we talk, Dan.
Who's the we that we talk this way?
Young people like Sue and me.
Yep.
Slang. LOL.
Tell him, Greg.
Stugotz.
Look at Greg Cody trying to get into the hipster conversation
LOL.
with an LOL.
Right. ICYMI. I just said LOL.
SMH.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, I am ready to geek out the same way I did last time this guy was on. We are doing a fanboy hour of radio going from Aaron Rodgers to Keegan-Michael Key to talk about Predator, which is in theaters this weekend. The Predator. And he's a fanboy just like we are. He is someone that is, I don't know if it's the age. He's 47 years old.
Right.
You're 46.
Yeah.
I'm 49.
Mm-hmm.
This age, this movie, we talked to the director of, he had a run of Hunt for Red October, Die Hard, and Predator. That was a run over 3 years that director had, and then he went to jail and disappeared. Now he's got another movie coming out.
I maintain it's the greatest run of movie directing ever. 3 movies. I mean, think about those 3 movies. That's a
Okay,
hell of a
but
run.
now I just want to geek out again with Keegan-Michael Key.
Let's do it.
The Predator will be in theaters this weekend, and I don't really want to talk about the movie that's in theaters this weekend. I want to talk about the original and all the things that we felt and shared during that time in the original. So let's go back to the characters. Who was your favorite? Did you have a favorite? Were you an Arnold guy, or did you go off the beaten path with Jesse the Body or something like that?
Wait a minute, you want to know who my favorite was?
Yeah.
That's right.
My favorite was Mac. Mac is my favorite. The Bill Duke character is my favorite character. I will go to my grave with this one, you guys. Bill Duke is an acting tour de force in this movie. Now, as a dramatic thespian myself, I can only go By the way, an actor who does a great job has one of the most quotable lines, which I know, Dan, is one of your favorite lines, which is "I see you." And also, I sounded more like the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. But Bill Duke. But Bill Duke also, before his passing, a very accomplished director, by the way. And so Bill Duke's my favorite character. Anybody who dry shaves is a badass. Anybody who dry shaves.
He's still with us. I think he's still with us, though. Why did you just kill him?
Still alive.
What just happened there? Why did Keegan-Michael Key just kill him?
It's a fine.
Oh, no, Bill Nunn, not Bill. Oh, my gosh. I'm a black person, and I just got two black people mixed up. I have to turn in my card. I'm not allowed to do that. I just did that. I'm thinking of Bill Nunn, who was a collaborator with Spike Lee. Oh, boy, I'm in black jail. I'm in black person jail. It's the most egregious mistake you can make. Bill Duke, alive and well. So much for my credibility with obscure predator factoids.
You have lost the black delegation.
Oh my God.
This is an international scandal. This is unbelievable.
I'm going to have to do. That's 4 demerits for me. I've got to do a bunch of community work to get back out of to get my delegation back.
The Predator will be in.
That was ridiculous.
The Predator will be in theaters this weekend. Give me another scene that you liked with him, not just the razor scene. Do you have, like, if he's your favorite character, were you choosing him just because he was black or because he was the greatest?
No. I choose him because he's the one person. It's not even, you can't pick one scene. The thing is, after Jesse dies, it's collectively how he starts crumbling psychologically. That's so fascinating to me. And that the fact that my favorite scenes in movies are when there's a person who's cracking or starting to go crazy, and then you see the shots of everybody else. Like, another one of my favorite characters is Hudson from Aliens. You know, it's like, game over, man. Game over. What else you guys are up on current events? We just got our butts. You know, like, I love the guy who just starts falling apart and everybody. You know, back in the 40s, people have to grab people and slap them across the face, like, get this stuff together. Those are always my favorite characters. I love the fact that I like when, right before he dies, too, when he's there's that little cove of plants and ferns and stuff that he's around, and he's just so intense in the whole movie. And the fact that, actually, I think that people talk about Sonny Landham speaking the least. You know, Billy?
Yes.
But I feel like he and Mac are equally intense.
Well, but Mac...
And his death is gruesome. Like good old... Oh, what's that?
No, I just wanted to talk to you about him shooting up the whole jungle. I wanted to geek out on... There's only one guy who shot down a jungle, and it was that guy.
Right. Yeah, right. That's true. I should have mentioned that. Yes, I should have mentioned that. But yeah, that he does shoot down a whole jungle, which means that's a clip that carries. I've never fired a gun that carries 100,000 bullets. It's amazing. It's really quite amazing how he did. It's like, they could have just said, "Mac, are you scared?" "Yeah, make a clearing for us," and the whole thing's gone. Like, just knocking down redwood. It was insane.
They really should have. If they really should have. They should have just kept going.
They should have done that at the top.
No, they should have.
They should have just landed, killed all the...
Sprays the entire jungle of the dog.
No, but I'm saying, in keeping with the spirit of that handshake between Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they shook hands.
Schwarzenegger, Dylan.
Yes, and it's a 10-second close-up on both of their biceps. I think that movie needed like 30 straight minutes of that guy just shooting the jungle.
Yeah, and we still would have gone to the theater and seen it twice.
Of course. I'd still stop on it every time it's on my TV.
Why? Why? Explain it to us.
Explain what to you.
Why? Why do we have this connection with this damn stupid movie?
Here's why. Here's my pop psychology. The Predator, the first Predator, the original Predator, by the way, is what they call, what we call in the business, a block movie. It's an old term. It's a block movie. The whole movie takes place on the block. In this case, the block is a jungle. So the thing is, there's this great kind of claustrophobic. I know the jungle's huge, but there's this claustrophobic feeling like, geez, they're millions of miles away from civilization. They can't get out. The other thing is, John McTiernan, by the way, we got to remember, this is the guy that directed Die Hard. The tension that he builds in the movie is so good, especially for someone like me. Like, I was 16 when the movie came out, 15 or 16. And I saw my friend Dave McFarland's house. And it felt somehow taboo, and the jokes were kind of, racy and raunchy. And the gore was, I think, commensurate to the jokes. So that's part of what holds it for me. The other thing that someone mentioned to me that I never realized before is it's the only movie I've ever seen. Like, I'm a huge Commando fan. I love Commando. But Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's winking incessantly throughout Commando. There's never a moment in Commando where you think John Matrix is going to die. But with Dutch, he's actually scared. When he meets the Predator, he's scared. Like, you don't ever see Schwarzenegger running away from anything. Even when his eyeballs are coming out of his head in Total Recall, he's almost still not scared. He's like, this is inconvenient. No atmosphere. And he's still like not actually scared. But in the Predator, he's scared. When he says you're one ugly MFer, it's not just the line. I mean, he's terrified. And it's something that's really interesting because we get to see him doing that. And I think that's part of what stays with us. We didn't think about it, but it's part of what stays with us. And it's everything, right, Dan? It's everything. It's the lines. It's the beefcake. It's the bullet count. It's mowing down a jungle, which they just should have done. That should have been the plan, guys. They should have said, we're going to get on the chopper. We're going to land. Mac, you and Haynes, you guys go, shoot down the jungle. Nobody, they just should have done it from the beginning of the movie. I'm going to make that movie. I'm going to make Predator. I'm going to make a 10-minute version.
And I'm there for it.
We will film every theater in America for just machine gun fire into the jungle.
Rambo.
Just 30 straight minutes of it.
Rambo. It's just...
The Predator.
I'm still catching my breath too. Yeah.
Your timing is so off, or my timing's so off. I don't know whose timing is off.
Bill Nunn, though. Bill Nunn.
California-Miami thing. That's the issue.
Michael.
We got ourselves a delay.
Keegan. I am looking at Bill Nunn right now.
Yes,
I am looking at pictures of him on the internet. Radio Raheem, okay? How?
Radio Raheem, yes. Radio Raheem.
But my only question is how?
Radio Raheem. The question is, how did I get those two guys mixed up?
Yes.
Yes.
That's why I say it was an egregious mistake on my part, because they look nothing alike. I mean, nothing alike. But Radio Raheem had that great fade. He had the hair. He was styling with the rings and everything. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God. And then he was in School Days, too. Bill Duke wasn't in School Days, Keegan. Bill Duke wasn't into the right thing. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me get my glasses. Oh, yeah, definitely Bill Nunn. That's what I was looking at. Yep, Bill Nunn. Oh, my gosh.
Do you remember?
Here's what I'm afraid of now, Stugotz. Here's what the issue is. Any other interview I ever do with you guys, if I disagree with you on anything sports-related or cinema-related, you can always just say to me, Bill Nunn. Bill Nunn, your credibility shot.
Take me back to the teenage Keegan Michael Key. And again, The Predator is in theaters this weekend. This weekend, you should go see it. But the 14-year-old Keegan Michael Key who sees the moment where Carl Weathers, his arm is going to come off, and the arm is going to continue to shoot bullets into the jungle, even though it's no longer on his body. How did that go for you, and how much did it scar you?
It's actually, it did the opposite of scarring me, because I thought what that meant was if I get big and I get I actually thought if I get muscles that big, it means my limbs can operate independent of my body. So I start working out now and get that big. I mean, I remember what I probably did is I probably woke up my friend Dave McFarland's dad, Dennis, because I probably went, oh, like that in the middle of the night as we were sitting downstairs. I thought, by the way, I was unscarred because I thought that was the coolest thing I had ever seen in a movie in my life. Up to that point, I'm like, you can do that? like my grandma used to say, we cut the chicken's head off, the body keeps running around. Why shouldn't it work with a human arm? That was my whole thing.
Again.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought that movie was great. My only other concern when I was 13 was that I was more concerned about the other soldiers. I'm like, now wouldn't it be cool if the disembodied arm killed another person? Like if they lost two at the same time, that'd be amazing.
Showed the Predator in a corner laughing.
The only other problem is they missed an opportunity for a great line there. That's when Dutch should have screamed, "Wow, Dylan, you've been unarmed."
Oh, God.
That's what should have happened.
Yes, that is great.
That's what should have happened. Let's do a rewrite. Okay, anyway.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate the time. A lot of laughs. Appreciate it. Thank you for being on with us.
Always, guys. Always a blast. It's so good. It's good to hear from you guys. Thanks so much for calling, and please go see the movie.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN News.